Okay, so National Incident Management, or NIMS for short, so we call it NIMS. And the objectives for this section is to describe National Incident Management System, NIMS, describe the Incident Command System, and then describe where FAST members fit in the incident command structure during a disaster response. So why, this is a big question. So why do you, as FAST members, FAST responders, need to know what NIMS and Incident Command System is? And part of it is because this is how all of North Carolina, actually all of the country, responds to disasters and incidents. And you need to know, as a FAST team member, where you fit into that system. One of the things as a FAST responder that we'll be requesting you to take for training is ICS 100, 200, and 700. So these are FEMA classes, and they do a more in-depth description of what Incident Command System is and what NIMS is. But we want to give a broad overview here, so some of the concepts won't be new to you when you sign in for those classes. So National Incident Management System is a comprehensive national approach to incident management, applicable at all jurisdictional levels and across functional disciplines. So it was established in February of 2003 through Homeland Security Presidential Directive 5. And don't worry, we won't be asking this on a test. But it was developed. It was developed with the wildfires, actually in the 70s in California. And then they decided that after 9/11, that they really needed to have an integrated response and management system for everyone who was responding to major disasters. So everyone understood how to respond in the same way, and that communication served across the board, as well as making sure no lives were lost in any response system. So the guiding principles of NIMS is flexibility, the standardization, and the unity of effort. So flexibility, one of the things that I really like about NIMS is it is created to be flexible. So it can be for one agency or organization. It can be for many agencies or organizations. There's a standardization. If I'm asking for a dump truck, a type 1 dump truck in California, someone in Maine knows exactly what a type 1 dump truck is. As you know, there's a variety of different types of dump trucks, and because everyone knows what everyone else is talking about, we're able to get past some of the miscommunications and misidentifications. And then unity of effort, making sure that everyone is on the same page and everyone has the same goals and objectives in responding to whatever incident befalls them. So some of the NIMS components, and we'll be talking more in depth about command and management, which is the ICS portion of it, but is preparedness, preparedness across the board, communications and information management. So you'll see some of this as people are working across the board for universal communication protocols during disasters, everyone being able to be on the same page or using the same communication systems. When I was in Pierce County, we actually had a shooting at the Tacoma Mall, and we had responders from many different agencies, law enforcement and fire, all responding, self-deploying, which is never a good idea, but it was a Tacoma, it was a mall shooting. We actually had to bring in a communication vehicle that could patchwork everyone's communication devices together so everyone could communicate and be safe. What they're trying to move towards now is all first responders being able to talk with each other without having to have these systems in place that will do the patchworking. Resource management, I mentioned a little bit about that with the typing. So being able to know that if I'm asking for a type 3 response team, incident management team, that I know that I'm talking about one incident commander, one PIO, one operations chief, etc., and they all have a certain level of experience. So that level 3 response IMT is the same in Florida as it is in Texas, and in fact can, because they are all trained to the same level, to the same standards, that they can then go in and assist, step right in and assist if asked to provide mutual aid to another state or to another jurisdiction. Command and management, that's the incident command system, and that's the development of those positions, the incident management team, or any position in there where everyone has that same training, the same outline, and then they know the command structure. So they know who they're reporting to, they know who reports to them, and this is in any case across any jurisdiction or any state. And then ongoing management and maintenance of this whole system, of how the Nims system works. So it's really, it does have some flaws, but it is a well-oiled machine, and people are continuing to work on it and make it a great, great incident management system. So the benefit of Nims, it enhances organizational and technological interoperability and cooperation. When I left Pierce County, they were putting together, in conjunction with their with their transit system, a new radio system, 800 megahertz system that first responders, whatever jurisdiction they were from, and law enforcement and fire, all were going to be able to talk to each other. They would have talk groups and so on. It makes that initial communication coming up on a scene very easy to cross talk, as well as to figure out the command of that scene, as well as how people are going to respond to that scene. So people are not going to get in each other's way, not duplicate efforts, and be able to provide the best service. It also provides a scalable and flexible framework with universal applicability. So one of the things that I really like about this is if you're looking at incident command system, and we'll chat about this a little bit later, incident command system, one person can do all the positions if it's a small enough incident. However, you can have a very complex incident, such as what's going on now with the California fires, complex fires, complex incident, and have all of that being run under one incident command system. So the scalability of it is just incredible. It expands and it shrinks based on the response needed to that incident. It also promotes an all hazards preparedness. So as we're looking at preparing, we are preparing for any incident. If you can prepare well for a hurricane, then you're going to be prepared well for a fire. You're going to be prepared well for a flood. There's the basic preparedness techniques that if you approach it with all hazard lens, that there's just some small things you need to tweak to make sure that you're prepared for a particular incident. But the base all hazards approach is what many emergency managers and many emergency agencies, how they approach their planning. It also enables a wide variety of organizations to participate effectively in emergency management and incident response. So if we in emergency management are being trained on the same principles and techniques as the local fire department, as the local law enforcement, as our neighboring jurisdiction, as Virginia's emergency management, if we're all being trained in the same way, if the hospitals are being trained in the same way, and you'll hear about hospitals having emergency management coordinators, Casey is with a um, um, healthcare coalition where healthcare agencies are all learning the concepts of emergency response and management. Um, if you have everybody talking on the same page in the same language, then you're going to have better communication and better response. And that's one of the keys to having our fast responders learning NIMS and learning ICS is learning the language. Every um, every discipline across the board, whether it's human services, social services, healthcare, emergency management, we have our own lingo, lexicon, we have our own abbreviations, and you find yourself communicating better and quicker if you are understanding your partner's uh, language as well as they understand yours. So that's another purpose of NIMS. And then this NIMS institutionalizes professional emergency management and incident response practices. So I had the opportunity to work with some great folks in Pierce County that were retired fire chiefs, retired law enforcement, and they knew their stuff when it came to logistics on how to respond. But what we found was as soon as they retired from emergency management, that we lost all of their knowledge and skills. What NIMS sets out to do is make things, um, um, puts them down on paper, puts them into plans, procedures, policies, so everyone understands, so someone can step in and know exactly what this person was doing in logistics. The person in logistics didn't have their own set of um, ways of organizing and such that, but that everyone knew how logistics and operations worked. And if someone fell ill or retired, that someone would be able to step right in and be able to do that job. So incident command system. So this falls under NIMS. It is a flexible yet standardized core mechanism for coordinated and collaborative incident management. So incident management basically is any incident that occurs from a car crash to a fire to um, any other event. Um, you're going to need someone to manage that incident. And it could be, if it's a car crash, it might be one officer and they are managing that whole incident. But but one person um, that arrives on scene. He is the incident manager, he is the operations chief, he is the public information officer, he is the logistics chief, making sure that everything is covered. And um, but everyone understands what that coordinated incident management is. And they operate within a common organizational structure to enable effective, efficient incident management by integrating a combination of facilities, equipment, personnel, procedures, and communications. So those are the um, five um, um, topics that we'll be talking about as far as what you consider as you look at ICS. So this is the basic incident command system or ICS structure. And the top one you'll see is the management, the incident commander or IC. You'll have underneath, you'll have the command staff, and these are the PIO, the public information officer, the safety officer, the liaison officer, and underneath that, you will see the general staff. And this is the operations section chief, the planning section chief, the logistics section chief, and the finance section chief. So that is the basic command structure, and everything grows from that. You can also roll up. So you might have 3 people that show up on scene. That you might have one person that is the operations and the logistics and the planning person. Finance, you might worry about it later. And then the incident commander also is the PIO, as well as the liaison officer. So there's different job descriptions, and more than one person one person can do more than one job description. So where do you fall in Incident Command ICS? So in the State Emergency Operations Center in North Carolina, we have the Emergency Management Director, and that person is the incident commander on that organizational chart that you just saw. Under him, that's Director Mike Sprayberry, you have the Operations Section Chief. So if you remember the Operations Section, so that currently is Deputy Director Steve Powers. Because there are several sections under operations, he has a Deputy Operations Section Chief who assists him. And that person is Todd Brown. So he is 2 people above me. Under him, you'll have the Human Services Branch Manager, the Human Services Coordinator. The Human Services Branch Manager, we also have an Emergency Services Branch Manager. We have a Communications Branch Manager. And then there's 1 or 2 other branch managers. So they serve as the coordinators for a particular area when we're activated. And the FAST coordinator, whom Lauren and Vicky are both FAST coordinators as well as myself, we fall under the Human Services Coordinator when we're activated. Under the FAST coordinator, we will have FAST team leads and then FAST members. So one of the things about ICS is, and this is another beautiful part of ICS, is that you will only ever report to one person. And under span of control, a realistic span of control says that one person will only manage 3 to 7 people. So that's a manageable span of control during a disaster or incident response. So once you get beyond 7 people that are reporting to one person, then they will start breaking them off into other sections, other branches, and or divisions. And you'll learn all of that when you start taking the ICS 100, 200, and 700 classes. And you might even go on to take ICS 300 and 400 classes, which are typically in a classroom setting. So we become well versed in ICS. So under the FAST structure, you'll see again at the top, the FAST program manager or the human services coordinator. So that would be, for example, myself or my supervisor, who is the human services branch section chief. And under she or I, depending on 24-hour schedules and so on, we have the FAST coordinator and a FAST coordinator backup. So these may be working together at the same time, or they may be splitting 24-hour shifts, or they may be doing 1 day off, 1 day on. And then under the FAST coordinator, again, you'll have the FAST team leads. So you'll see there's 4 teams, and so 4 leads. And then under each of those leads, you see 3 FAST members. Now, one of the things that we will have a minimum of 2 members on a FAST team, and no more than 8 members on a FAST team, or 7 or 8. And that, of course, is based on what I mentioned earlier, that span of control. Now, as we're just starting this program, and we're continuing to recruit FAST members, we are looking, it'll be a ways off before we actually have a team of 7 or 8 FAST members that go out. So right now we're looking at a minimum of at least 2 members per team, maybe 3 members per team. One thing that we have adjusted for COVID-19 response is looking at virtual FAST teams. And we have a training that has been recorded on virtual FAST and how that looks. So that's available on our FAST website. And I'll put that link into the chat box when I'm finished. But that talks about how teams of at least 2 people will respond virtually to a shelter to assist in working with the shelter clients and how that works. All right, that was a quick high-level overview of Nims and of ICS, Incident Command Structure, or Incident Command System, and where FAST fits in to that structure. So you know that you are part of the response to, and that there's a logical place that you fit in. Operations, where the people that go and do things. Logistics, they're the people that get things. Finance, they're the people that pay for things. And planning, they're the ones, of course, that plan for things. So makes it easier to remember that way. Are there any questions at all that anyone has? You can just put those in the chat box if you have any questions. Again, you'll learn more about this taking ICS 100, 200, and 700, which are required. And in your participant guide in the back section, you'll see the list of the links to those different classes, and they're all online. So you get to learn a little bit more about that. Okay. Well, seeing none, we will break for 5 minutes, and it's about 10:25, so back here at 10:30. Thank you so much.
Sherry. Sherry.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure you can hear me. I got kicked off, so I was checking my mic.
Okay.